Hello, everybody. I am going to do my best to get through this information today and not literally puke. We're here. It's rough out here today. But I don't know what it is about my body that's like Thursday, every Thursday night. Like I have morning sickness like clockwork, right? So I've gotten it down to a science. I have my calls set up now with people to be in the afternoon. I wake up at 6 a.m. I have my morning puke. I take my shower, go to sleep for a little bit, puke again till about 11. And then I'm fine. Then I feel like great all day. Well, great as I can be all day, you know? And then at night, like I finish my calls. I usually pass out on the couch around like 9 and life is but a dream, except on Thursdays. On Thursdays, my body is like, oh, you have a scheduled Zoom at 8:30. We're going to make you feel like crap starting at approximately 5 p.m. Um, I don't know what it is. Maybe we're going to move the Zoom to earlier in the week. Maybe I'm just like worn out by the end of the week. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to try my best. Okay. And to kick off by the way, I don't know. I know we've established that you can't hear Sammy snoring, but we have a little guest up against us today. So, so cute. It's ridiculous. But anyway, if you see me periodically stare off at him, just know he's snoring. I don't know why the audio cuts that out. That's great, but he is snoring. Anyway, to kick off our inflammation series, well, last week we kicked it off, but to kick off the actual tips, I was going to do a lesson focusing on food and drink today, but I'm just not up to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the quick lesson on how to stay hydrated. How to stay hydrated. It's going to be a rough one today. And I'm going to explain why that's actually important for inflammation. So when I tell you I changed everything about what I did, and the very last thing that I changed in the way I led my own lifestyle is being hydrated enough. I heard for my entire life, you need to drink more water. And tell me in the chat if you guys can relate to this. You need to drink more water. You need to, stay hydrated. Our body is mostly water. It's good for you. It helps with the blood sugars. It helps with this. It helps with that. Oh my God, I know. Like I'm not. I was never ignorant to the fact that it's important to be hydrated. It just I didn't. I'm not someone who gets like really thirsty. Um, I mean I think it's also a neurodivergent thing is like we're busy, right? We're like doing things mentally, physically, like we are on the go. So it's you just friggin' forget. And then you're like, oh wow, all I drank today was a coffee and now it's late at night and I'm drinking wine and like did I drink anything else? That was really my life for a very long time. And I would be like wilted on the couch, and Nick would come home and be like, "Did you eat?" And I'm like, "Yes, I remember to eat." And he's like, "Have you drank anything?" And I'd be like, um, and it got to a point where it was literally the last thing I had to change. And I did in fact feel like shit every day still. So here we are. And as I've done with everything else, I had to figure out how to hack the hydration because it ain't going to just happen naturally, no matter how many times people tell me I should be drinking more water. So here we are. So today I'm going to give you my tips. This is how I stay hydrated. I swear by this method. If anything is ever off with with the process I'm about to teach you guys, I don't drink as much. Like it's just, I don't know why. It's a science. So I figured I'd teach you guys. Okay. So first things first, get a water bottle that has a straw. I don't really even like this water bottle. It's just what I have around. This is not going to be this is like a fake Stanley, my family, if you will. And I'm not even crazy about it. So disregard this giant thing because I'll talk about that in a minute. But what I do need at all times is either a sippy top, a straw top, some kind of quick access. That is, I'm so sorry. These like inverted hiccup burps are just going to happen. Okay. But I need some kind of easy access top. Because I realized, and I know it sounds crazy, but call it the neurodivergence, call it laziness, call it whatever the hell you want, but call it a fact, is that if I have to sit there and unscrew the top of my bottle, I'm going to drink less. If it's an open container, I'm going to probably spill it all over myself because I'm a child and I need a sippy cup still, or I'm just not going to drink from it because it's going to weird me out that it's an open container. I don't know what it is. It is a marked difference if I do not have access to a bottle of some kind that has some kind of push top, spout top, straw top, something like that. My personal favorites are the Camelback bottles that have like that little like nubby like nipple at the top of them, you know, where you can like they're really like soft and stuff. I kind of suck at cleaning those, especially, and I feel like they get gross and then I get weirded out. So a straw is really nice and simple because you can replace them pretty easily. I don't know if that helps. So that's number one. Number one, easy access top. Okay. Number two, do not do the gallon bottle. Don't go get the giant jug. And again, I know it's hypocritical because it's like the biggest that I'll do, right? But I like bottles even smaller than this. And there's a reason why. Every time we cross something off our list, like every time we complete a to-do list item, we release dopamine. It is our motivating hormone, our feel-good hormone, and those of us who are neurodivergent, our dopamine's a little wacky, right? We really are driven by dopamine. So you almost want to figure out ways to hack it so that you're always considering if something seems like a big dopamine payout, like it's gonna require a lot of dopamine from you, but it's not necessarily going to give you a lot of dopamine in return. That's going to be something you're going to forget, you're going to push off, you're going to feel like it's going to take you 3 years to do, even if it takes 5 minutes. Talk to my pile of shit that I have to return to Amazon that I always forget to and miss the window. You know, like dopamine runs things for us. And when you want to figure out a way to get a big dopamine payoff, you want to find a way to finish things, to complete things. It's the conundrum of neurodivergence. If you have executive dysfunction, you have a hard time completing things, right? At least I do. So when it comes to drinking water, if you think that you have a ton to do, a ton to get through, you know, you're so behind in your water, you have a big ass jug of water you have to chug, all of those things, that comes across as a big dopamine like cost without a big dopamine payout because you're going to have to drink a lot to see the completion of that empty bottle psychologically. You guys following me so far? So when you have a smaller water bottle, you are going to be filling it up more often. So by default, every time you have to go fill up your water bottle, your brain is registering that as, oh wow, one down. Another one to go, let's get another one in. And it starts to build momentum and you start to be driven by that. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's just a smaller container. Because then it's like you have the big jug container and it gets the water bubbles and you can see it and it looks stale and it's just staring at you like you suck at drinking water and it's just never a good time, right? But you empty a water bottle, it feels good. You're like, yes, I'm so hydrated. Look how healthy I am. And then you just keep going, at least for me. So I wouldn't do any bigger than this. I think this is like a 40 ounce. It's still not even like massive. It just feels like I could impale someone with this, but or bludgeon, I should say. Impale would be interesting, but bludgeon with this thing. It's a weapon. This is bigger than I would go. I would do like 20 in the 20s, like 20 ounce to 30 ounce. At least for me, is like the sweet spot. All right, you guys follow me so far? Finding this helpful so far? I hope so. I hope I'm not just like rattling it off like crack speed. But next, okay. So we got easy access container. We got small enough water bottles so you're filling it up more often. And here comes the mental deal you're going to make with yourself. Mental deal you're going to make with yourself is do not think about how many ounces you need. Do not think about how many bottles you need to consume or how many times you have to fill it. Don't try to do that math. Simply make the agreement with yourself, and this is like the biggest one, that you're going to keep your water near you at an arm's reach at all times, and all you have to remember, take a sip every few minutes. Every few minutes you take a sip. That seems a lot more doable than you have to drink 8 glasses of water a day, right? So every few minutes a sip, a sip, a sip. And before you know it, that coincides with the smaller bottle. So before you know it, sip little bits throughout the day, and then you got to refill your bottle again. And then dopamine is like, oh my God, look at you, so hydrated, keep this going. And then momentum follows. So easy access top, smaller water bottle. Keep your bottle near you so that you can sip every few minutes, take a sip. That's all you're responsible for. You don't got to chug. You don't got to like finish the thing. Sip, 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 sip. Before you know it, you need to fill it up again. Wow, dopamine payoff. See the methodical nature of this? It's psychotic, right? We should just be able to drink water. But the ship has sailed on that, so I need a system. So I hope this is helpful for you guys so far, okay? Next most important thing, flavoring, water flavoring. Now, okay, I don't know how to describe this. Like, we're hardwired with this mindset of things having to be more difficult for us, right? Like, people will get all into the fact that they're like, they have some kind of moral winning if they go for an apple instead of a brownie. Even if they want the brownie, they're either going to go for the apple or nothing at all. I don't need anything. I'm fine. You know, I could live without it. It's just this thing we do. And I feel like we have that same moral compass with water, where it's like, no, I just should drink the plain water. I shouldn't put flavoring in my water. I should be happy with a squeeze of lemon or nothing at all. Who's done that before? Who's had that internal battle of how I'm going to be the healthiest person in the world by making my life more bland, and I'm just going to go for the plain water? And you don't even have to hate water, but like, unless you love the taste of plain water, it's kind of like forcing yourself to do the healthier thing. And then it deters, then Lisa said in the chat, yep, then it deters me from water more. It's just like a non-flavor. I think I'm the only person that hates flavored water. If you do, then perfect. Like, if you truly, in your heart of hearts, prefer the plain taste of water, that's totally fine. But that's what I'm saying is, like, if you want an apple instead of a brownie, don't force yourself to go for the brownie, you know, like, go for the apple. But if you want the brownie and you're making it about like, I should have nothing at all, or I should be happy with the apple, that never works long term. And it's the same thing with water. If you don't love the taste of plain water by itself already, if there's any kind of ick around it, don't force yourself to be the poster child of hydration and go for like the healthiest alternative. Like, some water flavoring going to kill you, you know, if you're worried about that. Because that's the number one thing I hear. But what about the chemicals? Oh my God. And I said this was going to be a quick one, so I can't even get on my soapbox about this. But dosage matters in things. You know what I mean? And being hydrated is way more important than putting a little something in your water to make it palatable so that you continue to drink it. And you might be thinking, well, I could do without, but psychologically, when your water, and Susan, I don't mean to be like argue with your point. Again, if you like plain water and you hate water flavoring, like, that is fine. But psychologically, if there is some kind of flavor to what you're drinking, you're going to want to keep, or consuming, I should say, the way taste buds work neurologically, we're going to keep consuming it. It's kind of like mindless snacking, eating popcorn at the movie theater, having pickings at the table. It's just something like a hand to mouth kind of thing where we continue to go back for it more. So it doesn't have to be that, you know, you have to drink some overly flavored thing, but unless you really love the taste of water on its own, adding a little something something to your water, it just makes you drink more. Now, what I found is there are tons of things out there, right? And it is about finding one that you're not disgusted by. So I really, really like, oh my God, what is it called? I think it's called True Lemon. They make true lemon and true lime. They have them at most grocery stores. You can order them online. They have tons of flavors. And the ingredients are really simple. They're really minimal. It has like a little bit of sugar in it, but like it's so minimal, it truly doesn't matter what's in it. But I just like the simplicity and the realness of the ingredients. So if you are concerned about like the chemical nature of adding like Crystal Light or something like that to your drinks, true lemon, true lime, it's like made from like crystallized lemon and lime. Like it's very simple ingredients. And they come in little packets, easy to bring with you. I really love the strawberry lemonade. One packet, it makes this like pretty concentrated flavor, so I don't even need like the whole thing a lot of times. Um, and it just, there's something about it. It just makes you reach for it more. So don't make it about some like health competition of like, I have to be okay with like, I'm gonna cucumber infuse my water. Do that if you like it. I love cucumber infused water, but don't do that because you're afraid to add some powder to your friggin' drink either. You know, life is busy, so you don't always have time to peel and infuse cucumbers into your water. You know, go for the easy route. You'll be fine. It's still gonna be better than you being dehydrated chronically. All right, so we got easy access. You see, I love a straw. I'm sipping as I'm talking to you. Easy access, small enough container, sip throughout the day. Don't think about it as drinking quantity of water. Just sip every few minutes. Sip, sip, sip. Some kind of flavoring to kind of make you attached to wanting more of that flavor. Um, and that's really, I'm trying to think if there are any other tips. Those are my main thing. That's how I stay hydrated. You'd be so surprised when you think about it in a way that's more casual, like not having to count down how much you have to drink. You don't have a huge jug of water. You're actually having flavor. Like when you do these things, you're gonna be at the end of the day, you're gonna look back and be like, holy shit, I drank more today than I have in all this time. People have been yelling at me. Now I forget what the I used to know how it translated from like an IV bag in terms of like how much you had to drink because growing up as a type 1 diabetic, with high blood sugars, like they'd always make you drink a ton of water before going to the hospital because really the only reason you'd go to the hospital for for diabetes growing up would be if your blood sugars are high to get fluids. So I used to know the ratio of like how much you have to drink to equal out an IV bag. And I don't right now have that off the top of my head. I'll add it to the chat. But um, hydration is so good for us on so many levels. In terms of inflammation, what's it called? Synovial tissue is basically the tissue throughout our body. When we're not properly hydrated, our tissues cannot do what they have to do. So there's more friction throughout the entire body in a musculoskeletal sense. There's more friction throughout the body, which causes higher inflammation, pain, erosion of the joints, shortening of disc height in our spines, you know, the inflammation, the tissues in our stomach. So if we're not properly hydrated, we're not absorbing nutrients properly from our food. We're not having our digestion isn't running as smoothly. It affects our gut balance. Also, our bodies, you've heard me say this about food, but our bodies will learn from our behavior what we give it and what we don't give it. And when it starts to realize that you're not going to give it hydration, what it starts to do is hold on to all of the hydration that you finally do give it. And that causes puffiness, it causes water weight, water retention, swelling, you know, a lot of that stuff because your body's like holding on for dear life. Like, we don't know when we're going to get this hydration again. So, and a good point about that, if you're like, well, I'd love to be hydrated, but I can't be peeing all day long. When you first start drinking enough, you're going to pee a lot because your body is going to realize that it has hydration coming in and it's going to release the stored water that you have. And so at first, you're going to be like, I can't live like this. I'm peeing all the time. It's not going to be forever. It ends up leveling out and tapering off. But when you go from never drinking enough and storing all your water to now drinking enough, you are going to have a surplus in the beginning. The good part of that is you end up seeing like, I mean, I know we're not supposed to be celebrating this, but you start to see more definition. People's faces will look different. People's necks will look different. Their collarbones, their wrists, their hands. Like you'll start to notice the water retention going down once you get over that hump of having to pee all the time. and your body's not holding on to everything you're giving it. Is there any amount of water we should drink daily based on weight? I hear that a lot. Yeah, I mean, I hear a good measure is half your body weight in ounces. So you take your total weight. I don't even really know what the hell I weigh, so I guesstimate, you know. I can't believe you guys can't hear him snoring up a storm next to this computer. Thank God, because he sounds like a little monster. Um, but yeah, the rule of thumb I've always heard is half your body weight in ounces. Who knows if that's accurate or not, but I think it's a good measure. You can drink too much water, so I think like that's usually where I try to like not go too much above that on a daily basis either. Can you believe that you can drink too much water? Crazy. Um, yeah, so that's my spiel on hydration. It is super important. It is super annoying to remember to drink enough. I'm not condemning anyone for not drinking enough. I totally get it. But these are my hacks. This is how I work around my silly brain so that I'm able to actually drink enough water each day, and it works out. So, all right. I mean, we still got a good half hour into the lesson almost. So it wasn't too, I didn't want to jip you guys, but do you feel like that was valuable? Any questions? Before we go into like a general Q&A, any questions about hydration, inflammation, water, anything like that? Tell me in the chat. This stuff is so good. It tastes like the strawberry lemonade from True Lemon it tastes like rainbow sherbet if you've ever had it. Like the really chemically filled bright fluorescent rainbow sherbet that comes in like the plastic tub. I love it. Okay, I think we are done with the water chat for today. So general, oh wait, great info. Okay, definitely something you have to make an effort to do. Agreed. And I am curious to hear how these tips help you guys. So please, please, please share with me. If you do this tomorrow, which I highly suggest, you will feel much better. You have more energy, more clarity. Your hair will be better. Your skin will be better. All the stuff we've been told for years, about water. So if you do this tomorrow, I really want to hear about it because I get very excited I love when I give people tips and it helps. So tell me how it does for you guys. Okay, so regular general Q&A. I'm going to I'll let the recording go for anybody this might be useful for anyone hears anything that they would ask, but on the recording. Okay, Q&A about anything. Hormones, emotions, mindset, pregnancy, Sammy, I don't know, whatever the hell you want to ask. No taboo questions. I'm just gonna sit here and be awkward while I give you guys a chance to type it into the chat. Any questions at all? I feel like we should have like Jeopardy music playing in the background. Good. Okay. So is it taboo for me to ask how you will manage stress after the baby comes for your body to recover? So how would I think ahead to do that? So one, if there's one thing I've learned so far, this is the farthest I've gotten in pregnancy so far in all the times that I've been pregnant. So, and nothing has been what I've expected. Like I had to come off of my ADHD meds, which has been really interesting. Still managing a business, still managing all the chronic illnesses, diabetes and everything. So I think the biggest thing for managing stress is not having expectations of having to be a certain way. Like not having to like I'm going to get stressed. I'm going to have moments where I'm going to feel overwhelmed. I'm going to be hard on myself. I'm going to work through them, but I'm not going to expect myself to just be someone else's definition of strong. I think you can both be dealing with shit and be strong at the same time. So nothing has been what I've expected up until this point, and the disappointment of like, why is this happening? Why that is the most stressful thing. So I feel like I have no idea what the hell to expect, when we have a baby to take care of and my body is like completely different and I'm having to put it all back together, this like figuratively and, literally. Um, I guess that would be the biggest thing to manage the stress would be I'm not going to have my heart set on it being any specific kind of way. I'm just going to take it as it comes and try to remember to process through it and be a real human being. And I think there's strength in that, on the side of like the way my body will look. That has been a very interesting test because I did not realize the expectations that I had of like to talk about expectations and not having any. I really expected my body to stay completely the same and just have my stomach grow. Like I don't know why. And I was watching Knocked Up yesterday and I realized why. Because in Hollywood, when they show us pregnant people, they just add a prosthetic belly. These people are not actually pregnant. Their arms aren't getting bigger. Their face isn't getting rounder. Their skin isn't changing. Like I got weird red spots like that I didn't even know like that you could get like weird breakouts on my body. My face is clear, but my body's different, like and you're not going to see that in the Hollywood version because they ain't pregnant. They just got a prosthetic belly on, and I think social media also does a really good job of being completely fake as shit, and I think dealing with not having expectations of how I'm supposed to look and what people will think. Like it's stuff I help you guys with all the time. It's definitely been very interesting having to have that same level of acceptance for myself. And I'm like many of you, I have a history of eating disorders, so it's definitely been a lot of like, yes, you are allowed to eat that thing. Like you are literally pregnant. Like it's not, you're not going overboard, quote unquote. Like all this diet rhetoric kind of came back into my head that I've had to really process through and be like, no, that's some bullshit. Like you got to eat. You're pregnant. You're like, no, you are not doing a bad job because your blood sugars are high. You are trying your hardest. So I'd say that's been the most stressful and the most that I've had to manage so far and will have to manage. But really long winded. I hope it answers your question or gives you some insight. So, okay. Have you added anything to your morning or nighttime routine during pregnancy you were surprised about? What do you mean by that? Could you clarify that for me? Have you added anything to your morning or nighttime routine during pregnancy you were surprised about? Besides knocking out so early that like every night Nick's waking me up on the couch like, babe, it's time to go to bed. I had a full nighttime routine I used to execute. Oh, I really, I'm trying to think of what's been weird. I have been craving and blowing through a ton of fruit, which has been really annoying with my blood sugars. Um, Tiramisu has been a big love of mine. Um, I remember I asked Nick to buy me like or no, wait, I was coming back from Greece and I was like craving tiramisu and I didn't ask Nick to get it for me, but he had it waiting for me. And the first time he bought it for me, he bought me like the small piece. And like now we just buy it's like a friggin' quarter of a friggin' sheet tray worth. It lasts me like a good like almost 2 weeks because I just pick at it. But sometimes I'll randomly just be like, I need some tiramisu. And I didn't expect that. Like I thought that was kind of like the whole cravings thing. I didn't think it was going to be like that, where it's like so specific and it's just so like, wow, that's really what I need to eat right now. So that's been interesting. Um, I'm still, and I feel like a lot of you guys can relate to this. I am also not somebody who's naturally hungry in the morning. I have to really work on eating in the morning. And the problem is that if I do not force myself to eat something in the morning, I will, like, my morning sickness will continue and I will just dry heave, which is the worst. I've had like emetophobia, like the fear of throwing up for like my whole life. So this has been that's the weirdest thing about my morning routine is like I have a puke routine because I'm like I know what I need to do for my body to not have like an absolutely miserable morning. of just like dry heaving and hating my life. Isn't that the worst? Like it hurts. You're like, I just want to puke already and move on, you know? So forcing myself to eat in the morning, like I bananas are not something that, how do I want to say this? Bananas are fabulous. They are nutritious. They're nutritious. They are like delicious. They're natural. They're fruit. They're fantastic, right? But as somebody with insulin resistance and diabetes, I think I've told you a lot of you guys this too. It's not the most ideal fruit, right? It's pretty high glycemic. It's very starchy. It's got a bunch of carbs and sugar in it. So is it like the worst thing you that anyone could do? Absolutely not. There's no such thing as bad food. But for me, it's just not something that I include in my everyday life when I'm not pregnant because I have to take a lot of insulin for it. It makes my blood sugars go up. It's just not great. It's like one of the only things I can force myself to eat in the morning when I'm feeling really nauseous and I know I need to put something in my stomach. So I just have a shit ton of bananas around, which is like something that's very new and different. Trying to think what else. Oh, it smells like okay. So you know how I always tell you guys that I make my cabbage with sesame oil, soy sauce, garlic salt, like that's like my the trifecta, right? And earlier Nick was making that, like getting that prepared, putting in the oven. The smell of it is driving me insane, not in a good way. I used to love it, and I am like, I've never been more nauseous smelling something in my life that I've smelled a million times and I've been totally fine with. I don't know why. It's grossing me out right now. Like I was so excited to make it on the retreat, and I'm still going to, but whoo, I don't know why. It smells disgusting to me now. I had three cravings: grape jelly, celery, and popcorn. I hate all three. That is so random. You blew mine out of the water. Tiramisu and fruit. Grape jelly, celery, and popcorn. Love them while pregnant, though. I wonder if what other weird pregnancy craving stuff have I had that I usually don't like and I love right now? Oh, bread. Bread has been, like thank God I can have gluten while pregnant, which is really cool. We make more enzymes and our digestion slows. So when you're pregnant. So I've had an easier time breaking it down. It hasn't been affecting my colitis, which is really like the main deterrent for not really eating gluten, aside from like the thyroid stuff and everything. And I've been doing all right with it. And I have definitely been needing to reach for the brioche in the morning. Aldi's brioche is great. I'm gonna miss it when I'm no longer pregnant. I think that's it for the weird shit that I don't usually eat. Um, any other questions? I don't want to keep you guys here forever, but I love Q&A. Well, if you guys think of any others, you can always message me. Even if you're working with a coach, you always have access to me. You always have access to the WhatsApp chat. Tag me in your question in the WhatsApp chat if you have a particular question because I get flooded with notifications all day and I miss a lot of stuff in there. But I love answering questions. So feel free to always ask them. I hope this was helpful. And I hope you can take some good stuff away from it. I'm sorry that it was so short. I'm excited to talk more about the food side of inflammation next week. And let me know how the hydration goes because it's definitely a lot better to be hydrated. Okay. So good night, everybody. Bye.